Welcome to the Hard Lessons podcast. I'm your host, Charlie, founder of an Oakville-based construction company. Each week, we dive into the world of business, personal development, and the entrepreneurial journey. We'll be talking with successful business owners who've been in the trenches and learned those hard lessons. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take business to the next level, you're in the right place. Join us as we turn hard lessons into stepping stones for success. Welcome to the Hard Lessons podcast. Today we have, I'm super excited to chat with Cam here, all the way from Arizona. Super impressive what he's doing. Service-based business specifically, but it's a whole lot more than that, and I can't wait to get into it. You are a host and involved of a few podcasts. I understand yours, along with it's called Flying High with Cam, interviewing people in helicopters and chatting it up with them. I find that so sick. Now, your main thing, it sounds like, and you correct me if I'm wrong when I'm done, but pest control, termites, all that stuff, almost 150 employees. Now, also security companies, carpet cleaning, security. I'm sure the list goes on. Super impressive how you're able to perform at such a high level without spreading yourself too thin, doing multiple things. Now, Cam, if first off, welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Now, if we can start off, just painting the picture for people, like before we get into the business stuff, and I'd like to talk about that, but before all that, if you can rewind, what was Cam doing when he was out of high school?
So, yeah, and that's exactly where my story starts. Like, basically, my whole life was planned for me up until when I got home from a mission for my church when I was 21. So basically, all through high school, I was preparing for this mission, and my goal was to do real estate when I got home. So one of the things, I'm passionate about aviation. I wanted to fly helicopters and show investors large parcels of real estate because that's what my dad was doing. And so in high school, I went and got all my aviation licenses, my single engine, my multi-engine, my instrument, and helicopter. And then when I got back in 2009 from my mission, I graduated in 2007. The economy was absolutely horrible. And if you didn't have any money, real estate was the worst thing you could get into. So I kind of pivoted. I was playing basketball one night, and a lot of returned missionaries who are used to going door to door for 2 years get recruited to go knock for these door companies that are selling like solar, pest, alarms. And so I was playing basketball one night, and a couple of people who ended up being my business partner, Dusty, recruited me to get into pest control. And that's where it all began. It's just like, man, there's actually money in pest control. Like, this is crazy. I thought it was just a bunch of creepy guys coming over killing bugs, but there's actual residual income with it. And it just kind of sparked me and intrigued me, and I've never really looked back.
That's awesome. And that's, I guess, what sparked, what is it now? The 5 companies, you guys are doing hundreds of millions of dollars among all of them?
No, not quite 100 million. I wish. Green Mango will do $24 million in revenue. And then I've started 5 other service companies. And I guess my claim to fame there is that every single one of them has done over $5 million in revenue. Not all of them have been. And that's what I talk about a lot. Like, revenue is cool, but it's all about the bottom line. And so there's a lot of those companies that I was like, hey, it's been 3 years. I'm not making the money that I want. Yeah, the revenue's there, but the margins aren't. And, I sold them off. So now I'm back down to 2 companies. I have Green Mango, which is the pest control company, and Coconut Cleaning. And I've sold everything else off, and just really kind of went back into focusing on, my baby, and that's Green Mango.
And yeah, like, that's the advice, and where I'm at, like, very young and ignorant. If we could go back to when you were there, and like, what was that decision like, being like, okay, I'm gonna start all these things, like, the more the merrier. I've learned the hard way of more locations or more this or more that, opposed to just dialing in on and getting extremely good at what your real thing is.
Yeah, I think I think if entrepreneurs are being honest with themselves, the main reason why they start other companies is because they're not making enough money with what they're doing, and they feel like, oh, the grass is greener. I can start this other company that complements what I'm doing, and I'll make lots of money there. So for me, my goal was to get up to $2 million a year. At the time, I was not making that much money. And I thought, okay, if I could make $250,000 at each of these service companies, I open up five of them. That's 1.25. I can make about $1 million a year at Green Mango. That'll put me just above the 2 million mark. Well, as I started to open up those companies, now looking back, that was in 2017. So it's been almost 7 years now since I did that. We opened up four companies in 18 months. It was like the craziest thing in the whole world. But looking back, it was probably the worst financial decision I ever made. But it was the best like educational and business decision I ever made because I got to learn so much from all my trials and errors. And, it forced me to level up because I was trying to scale, not just one company, but now five companies. And, the sixth one was added later. And like trying to manage people and trying to manage my time, trying to have a balanced life with my family, with my kids, with everything else that goes into it. Like it was crazy, man. It was a crazy time. But that's why when people come to me and they're saying, "Hey, like I hear roofers all the time. Oh, I want to start doing solar." It's like, okay, like yeah, that plays in nicely, but are you making enough money right now at roofing before you open up this can of worms of solar? Because no matter how good you think it's going to be, like there's going to be pain points. Your roofing company is going to suffer because of it at the beginning, and there's going to be setbacks. So what's that worth to you? So I always encourage people like have market dominance and be so set up so perfectly at your company to where you're making the money that you want to make, you're living the life you want to live, and then at that point, if you want some more torture, like go open up another service company to complement it. You know what I mean?
It's more torture. I love it. So Green Mango, like how did that get affected when you started spreading yourself not too thin, but your focus got divided up?
Well, I mean, in every way, like my time allocation, financial, it stretches, some of your shared resources. That's one of the things I try to do is bring a lot of my shared resources together. It's like my accountants, my HR manager, my marketing team. I tried to make it all shared resources. And it overloads the system, man. Like, especially if you don't have the right managers in place, people get burnt out. So now you're burning through people. Um, you know, no one cares about the company as much as you do as the business owner. And so when you don't have good KPIs in place and you're not, your oversight's not on something, like things just slip through the cracks. And that's exactly what, like anything you can imagine, it probably happened at one of the companies.
So interesting, interesting. So if we're like just to have focused on I guess like your baby, the focus of pest control and the first company. Where could it have been, and how much faster could you have got it to where you wanted to if you didn't have, I guess, the distractions? And more so for the listeners just starting out, that thought has gone through their mind of like, oh, I need more.
I don't regret anything that I did, and that's the thing. And I don't know where we're at 24 million. I don't know if I could have been at 30 million already. I don't like to play that game. But what I do tell people that are coming to me, especially ones that are wanting to start, if that's like your demographic of audience, is that if you're going to start a company and it's going to have any chance of being successful, you need to jump in with both feet. I see a lot of people try and do their day job on the side and then try and start a company. Oh, I get off at 4. I'll do this from 4 to 10 o'clock at night. I'll knock doors on Saturday. I'll do this on Sunday. It's like you might do that for a couple of months. But here's the thing, if you do that, not only is your company that you're trying to start going to have like just some problems and be the redheaded stepchild, but now your day job is going to suffer as well. So now if you're making a couple hundred grand here to subsidize that living, like it's just going to go down naturally. And so if you're going to do something and you have any chance of success, like you need to jump in with both feet.
So those first few building blocks, like when is it okay to be like, okay, now I've got this thing under control. Maybe we can start changing directions and thinking of other things like how um I guess like timelines, people in place, systems. Um, when can we start thinking about doing a second venture or multiple more ventures?
Well, I think it just comes down to the person, right? But again, why do you want, like, why are you in business? You want to make enough money to provide from your family and have the luxuries of life. And I would tell you, if you can't figure out how to have that with one company, then you're not going to figure out how to have that with three companies. And so that's, and I don't know anyone that just like starts companies for the fun of it. And so that's what I mean. If any entrepreneur is being honest with you, the only reason why they're starting other companies is because they're not making money in their one thing. And so I would encourage people to double down on the one business that they have. And then at that point, when you have everything you want, like decide if you want to open up another company. And I would guarantee that like the answer is going to be no. And I'm not saying like don't offer additional services outside of like your main thing. So for example, like we do pest control. We kill cockroaches, crickets, earwigs, black widows, scorpions, and all that. But we also do weeds. We also do termites. So it's within the same service category. But when you get outside of like, oh, now the pest control company is doing landscaping or they're doing pool care, like that's outside your scope of who you are.
More of a distraction opposed to actually helping.
Yeah.
So people for the guys smaller, $1 million to $10 million. I know it's a big range, but can you stress the importance of people and also the first step to levels of management for those, when you're going beyond just a few managers? What is something to look out for, systems and metrics to be watching and looking over, because it can be very easy to cross its a transparent line of micromanaging, but at the same time, if you let them too loose and things are just getting out of order.
Yeah, so I mean, even under $1 million, as soon as you're going to hire your first employee, you have to have the KPIs in place for that employee, or key performance indicators. Okay, and the reason why that needs to be in place, and you need to make sure that you're able to track that perfectly, is because you're eliminating yourself and your employees' perspective of eliminating their failed expectations, right? So most employees, what I see happen, employers do this with their employees. Hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to do this. You're hired for $15 an hour. Here's your commission structure. It's not even written down. And then in 3 months from now, they're getting after it, and or they're getting after their employee and saying like, you aren't doing this, you aren't doing that, you aren't doing this. And there's no way of tracking like that employee thinks he's the best guy in the whole world. And so what I would encourage everyone is having their KPIs put in place. And then for every 7 people that you have in an organization, you need a manager over that person. So if there's 6 employees or 7 employees, you can be the manager over them. But as soon as you have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so on, every 7 after that, you need to promote a manager to be over those people, or else you're gonna start having retention issues with your employees and buy-in issues. And that's what I would suggest for the management side of it. And there was one other question that you had besides like scaling managers. What was the other one?
I was drawing the line of like, I think you answered it. You gave us, oh, what metrics do you look at? I think that was it.
No, that wasn't it. But I mean, we can talk
Or
about that
was
too.
it the a transparent line between micromanaging and not managing enough? I forget. I don't know.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I guess that's in line with what I was saying. Just having your KPIs and realistic expectations, so everyone's expectations are managed, and you're not, unfulfilled that way.
Right on. So from like managing people is obviously important. Now getting the work and selling. Um, it's not the hardest thing when it's just you knocking on doors and you can run the ship however you want. When you're starting to get up 7, 8 figures, what are a few processes that you're starting to put in place when you're smaller? And then if you could touch on a few processes that you guys have in place at your scale.
Yeah. So I mean, again, like as many manuals, as many like written down training methods to where it's not verbal. That's the biggest mistake that I made at the beginning, is like everything was a verbal interaction. Like we didn't have any training videos, we didn't have any training manuals, and there was no ongoing education either. So we just invested into Trainual a couple months ago, where all of our training manuals are in one place, all of our videos are in one place. There's quizzes to go on. And that way, like if someone comes and services your house, it's not being serviced a different way by each person depending on how they were trained. And like so that eliminates a lot of that. And it goes for like salesmen as well. Like what's your script? What's your roadmap for a sell for a customer? For our technicians, like we have a very detailed front door script and like front door script for when you get there and front door script for when you leave, of things that we want you to say to a customer. We're huge on embedding into the customer's mind that we're premium. So hey Jan, you call them by their first name. My name's Cameron with Green Mango. I'm here to perform your premium service. Okay, noticed in the notes. And that makes sure that people understand, like, hey, we pay attention to detail. We have an amazing CRM. We're able to see, hey, looks like in the notes you've had an issue in the past with scorpions or black widows. I just want you to know that I'm aware of that, and I'm going to be focusing on that today. If you have any pets, please lock them up because we want to talk about that. Please open up the garage. We want to treat in there, and then if you need anything, just let us know. So it's very detailed, and it's going to be the same way when a technician comes out. And then we're educating the customer at the end. Again, we have tri-block technology. It's 3 massive barriers of protection. And the reason why we do that is because, especially in pest control in the summertime, there's so many companies knocking on the doors trying to educate our customers of what we don't do and telling lies. Oh, they use hand canisters. Oh, they put down 3 gallons. But if we do a good job with our technicians when we go out explaining what tri-block is and who we are, the customer is already educated and is hearing it from us, like what we do and how we do it. So when that door rep is there, a 19-year-old just trying to get a couple bucks, that summer, and he tells them, hey, Green Mango doesn't do this and this, the customer's like, yeah, they do. And now they're like brand ambassadors for us. And so that's how you know that you're doing a good job. But it starts with the systems and the policies and the training procedure written down, not given verbally, and then an ongoing training on that.
And the tri-block, I'm not familiar. What is that? Is
Yeah,
that
so
like the spray stuff?
no,
Yeah.
so that's what's cool about us. So we're the only company that has tri-block technology. It's a trademarked system in which we train our technicians to service a home. It's also our educational piece and how we train our technicians. So a lot of companies, they just come out with a hand canister or a backpack and do, a little spot treatment here and there with 3 to 5 gallons. With tri-block technology, it's 3 massive barriers. That's why we have the 3 different logos here. We treat the fence line, the yard, and perimeter of the house. And depending on the home size, it's 10 to 15 gallons of product. So it's almost 3 times more than our competitors and what they're doing. And it's a system, it's a way in which we train our techs to service the home that's detailed, so it's the same service every single time. And it's what makes all the difference for Green Mango.
Now, going back to the course, in our industry, that's getting more and more popular as well, construction and landscape stuff. Um, Now, at what stage of the onboarding process are they going through that training course and manuals?
Oh, right from the beginning, for sure. Yeah, day one.
So day one, and how in depth is that? Like, uh, I I guess what I'm getting at is how much are you putting in and investing to this new talent before you really are sold on them? Like, is there's some that gets done day one and then it gets more in depth on the 14th day or whatever it is?
No, we try and do a good job vetting them. So, and like our onboarding process going through like what a full day is, like we have videos that explain what a day is. We have videos explaining how our culture is, the things that we do that make us different, a couple different videos that like kind of set the tone for who we are. But once you're hired, I mean, we're assuming you're going to be here for the next 2 to 3 plus years. And so like, we're not going to hold back on people. We're going to give the best training that we can. And a lot of that involves giving them our manuals and testing them on what we do and in-field training and all that kind of stuff.
So 2 to 3 years, eh? Like that's very impressive, and I would have assumed quite a high turnover industry. Like, what does your hiring process look like?
So there's three different interviews. So they first interview with our HR manager, and she's kind of like the entry level filter. And then if she likes you, then it goes to the branch. I mean, if it's a technician, then it goes to our branch manager, who's over all the technicians. And then if he likes them, then it goes into a third interview with our COO. So between those three, it's been through three different interviews. All the background checks have obviously happened. Um, and they've interviewed with three of our top people. And at that point, it's like, all right, yeah, like here's your start date. And then, the first couple of weeks, and we let them know this, like, this is a trial period. We want to make sure that, you're excited to work here, and we want to make sure you're who you've represented in the interview process. And so most of the time, if you make it through that first week, but we're gonna treat you that first week as if you're going to be with us for the next decade.
So to recap, the three interviews, HR, branch manager, and the COO, correct?
Yeah, yeah, with branch manager.
Awesome, awesome. And then after that, obviously the training manuals, it sounds like. Um, cool. So in terms of if we can bounce back here to sales, I'm curious. I know for a fact you guys are probably very you guys are sharks selling pest control. I have guys knocking on my doors all the time. Um, how regularly are you guys reviewing your metrics as a team without taking away from the time that they're able to be out producing and selling?
Yeah, so we review our metrics daily, and then we report on them weekly in a manager meetings. And I'm making all of our sales guys meet daily now as well for like for role play to go over scripts. And I mean, in the sales department, like you can't have enough training there. And so, yeah, like it's every day monitored. How many leads came in? How many of those leads were good? What's your contact rate? What's your close rate? And then just practicing. That's one thing that we haven't done a great job on the past 6 months is role playing and practicing with each other. Our phones are recorded, so we have the benefit because we're not on the doors anymore to where everything can be recorded, and so we can literally take every single sales call and break it down and talk about the objections that they're having, and where they could have maybe said something differently or approached it differently in order to get that sell.
And when did that happen, the switch from the door to door to to not doing it, and why?
So in 2016 was kind of our last full door to door program in Arizona. And that's just because the attrition rate on door to door accounts is so high. We just didn't have any interest in continuing to do it. So we went full on into traditional marketing. And it's been absolutely phenomenal ever since.
Traditional marketing, what few like sources are you using or focusing on?
So, I mean, customer referrals has always been, one of our top sources, if not the top. And that's what I encourage a lot of small business owners. Like, you need to have an amazing referral program that like kind of hurts a little bit. So if your acquisition cost is around $200, like have a referral program to where you're paying $300 because that extra 100 that you're paying is worth that customer, worth a referral customer because those are the best kind of customers. It's going to take 4 to 6 like bad interactions with you as the company before that person cancels. Whereas like a door knocking account, you mess up one time, like they're gone. But when a friend refers them over, like they're going to be a little bit more relaxed and patient with you. So yeah.
Right.
And then outside of
Good,
that,
good.
sorry, I went on a tangent of customer referrals. Like we do radio, we do billboard, we do Google, we do Meta, we do all those things next door, but those are all great things. But I like you should be able to grow your company just by referrals.
And what percentage of do you know of referrals are you guys at right now?
Well, I will say this: the stat that I do know is that up until last year, when we finally started spending like crazy amounts of money on Google, no, our marketing budget is $2 million a year. No matter how much money we spend on Google, radio, billboard, any of that, our customer referrals would outperform those sources almost 2 to 1 until last year, which is
Holy
just
shit.
absolutely
Wow.
phenomenal.
Wow. So right now, I know it's never ending. The biggest hurdle that your time is going towards and that you guys are working on right now within the organization.
It's staying true to who we are from when we started. That's the biggest problem when a lot of companies like get bigger is they forget like the little touch points that they did that made them who they are. So, I mean, for us, it's just focusing on our systems, our policies, and focusing on and making sure that every technician as if I was going out there myself. And so that's where the front door scripts come in. That's where the role plays come in. That's when having the KPIs, having rewards in with people. So when they get good reviews, like we talk about it and it's motivating for that person to want to have a conversation with that customer and make them feel special and appreciated and all those different things. Because that's what
Do you
got
mi-
us here. As you get bigger, like people forget about that. And so they just start to treat them like crap, you know?
and do you mind tapping into that a little bit more incentive programs for especially these service-based guys? It goes hand in hand, whatever industry you're in. How are those structured, especially for your technicians?
Um, So we have a lot of different programs out there, but like let's take like reviews right now. For a while, our reviews were really low, and so the customer, most customers that have a good experience aren't going to take the time to write reviews. It's the ones that had a bad experience that are going to go on. And so like we were experiencing that a few years ago, very low reviews. So we were just like, hey, for every good review that sticks, you get $10. It's simple. And now we're over like 5,000 5-star reviews because we're motivating the technician to encourage their customer to go on and write a review, and not for the company. That's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, is that when the technician's asking for a review, you're saying, hey, this means a lot to me. This is how I'm bonused. This is how my performance reviews are done, is on the amount of reviews that I have through my customers. Are you okay with taking a couple minutes and providing feedback for me on my service today? That increases your premiumness of your service, right? And then it creates more buy-in for the customer, and I absolutely love it. And so you, as the company, the business owner, need to make it just so easy for that customer to give reviews that it's a no-brainer for them. And so like I have these metal cards that I give my field managers that have the QR code to our review site. So they just pull it out of their pocket and say, hey, do you mind sending me a review, and then give the pitch that I just gave. They scan it right there, literally within 60 seconds. The customer was able to write a review about that technician. So little things like that, whatever you want to focus on, just throwing out these little incentives for them is just absolutely game changer. And then creating competition with them. I can't say enough great things, and you probably know this. I don't really know your background, but if you have any background in sales, like you just know when you make two people compete with each other, it like some special things happen. And so we always have competitions going to where technicians are going head to head, and it's a point system that we actually are starting one. I think it starts tomorrow, where like they get points for completion, for termite bait station consultations. They get for their upsells and stuff like that. And then whoever has the most points at the end obviously gets cash. But that's what's cool, is like these guys are going to compete against each other. We're going to watch our numbers skyrocket, and then they're feeling like the big dog at the end. We call it the Masters, and we'll give them this like amazing cool jacket to wear, and like it just creates that atmosphere that everyone loves.
So building the culture of dogs and the guys that are able to go and compete to perform, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
So professionalism and keeping like a comment of yours you mentioned a little bit ago was it's easier to do it, have a great service and all that at the beginning, but when you're scaling and to the extreme that you guys are doing, a lot can slip through the cracks. And I love how simple and effective you made these systems and incentive programs. Like I see guys are like, yeah, I have a great idea, and they completely overcomplicate it, and their techs are like, no, like fuck that, I'm not doing this whole process just to get a review. You've got these metal cards, they whip them out of their pocket, and you said 60 seconds, you're done. Professionalism. How have you been able to carry that through to where you're at, $24 million?
Well, you brought up a good point, and simplicity is the key, right? Um, the advice that I was given from a mentor is, hey, if that employee can't go home and tell their wife about it, without looking at a sheet, without drawing it on a whiteboard, just like be able to explain it to her. And for her to be able to grasp it and understand it, like that's how your systems, your pay needs to be there. And I'm guilty of this. Hey, if you do this, you get this much money. And then if you do this, you get that much. If you do that, it's like, man, like people don't know how they're paid. The wife can't understand it. And so when you make it so simple that everyone can understand, like now you have wives calling their husband saying, hey, are you at $2,000 today in upsells? Because I know once you hit 2,000, like you're getting another $500 bonus. Like you can't come home till you hit that. And now there's buy-in versus like on payday, it's like, oh, my check's $500 less than I thought. How am I supposed to get paid? Or I don't know if this is right. And then they're frustrated, and then now they're emailing and texting the payroll department, and it just causes problems, man. So simplify.
And that's what's helped you guys like stay on top of the game in probably a very competitive market, eh? Like,
Yeah, no, pest
so,
control, there's over 10,000 licenses in Arizona. And so there's a lot of competition here.
and like, what are a few lessons on professionalism and level of quality, level of service and service-based businesses? It's one of the most important things. Um, Lessons that you were able to take away when you had five, six service-based businesses. How did you keep that quality and being known for the guy who's good at what he does, and that's all he does, not the jack of all trades?
Yeah, so I mean, the cool thing about what we did with our companies is, I mean, they were completely separate entities from each other. So each company had a managing partner who had equity in that company and ran it day to day. And we created them as sister companies. And so it wasn't like, oh, Green Mango now does pools. It's like, no, Pineapple Pools does pools, and Green Mango is a sister company of Pineapple. But how we scaled is you need to audit every single system and policy that you have into place, period, or else you'll just drive yourself crazy and feel like you're just living this like life on repeat. And this was advice that was given to me from a mentor, because I was him. And this was last year. I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm living the same life over and over. I'll go into a department, find the issue, I'll correct it, and then if I come back 6 months later, it's happening again. He said the only way around it is by getting an auditor that literally audits every system and policy that you have into place. And since I've been able to do that, it's been absolutely phenomenal, because not only do people know that I'm paying attention to whatever it is that is now a company standard, but now they know we're reporting on it. We give praise when they're following it. Obviously we reprimand when they're not, but it's a healthy balance of making sure that they know, like, hey, this wasn't just a fad that Cameron came in and wants to track these numbers or wants to do it this way. And so, I mean, we do everything from truck inspections so that, make sure they're doing the front door script, to how they're servicing the home, how CS customer service reps are notating the accounts, what marketing campaigns are going out, how often they're going out, like any system and policy that we have, it's being audited to make sure it's on that cadence that we originally set up.
So you've clearly felt it's important enough to bring auditors in. And how does it work? Like where they start, by the time they get to where they started, there's usually something falling through the cracks, and they just keep going through the list of
I mean,
processes.
yeah. So, I mean, I have two different auditors now, and they split up their departments, and they have what they have. They have like their written down sheet of what they're supposed to audit every single week and how their report's supposed to be done. And so we get once a week audit report of that department. I'm attached on it. The COO is attached on it. And the department manager is attached on it, and it's gone through.
Right on. Good, good. So, Cam, from scaling so quickly and over the last few years, what have you used to change um, your mentality and level yourself up, as cliche as it sounds? Because the person at 1 million is completely different than 10 million and 15 and 20 million. You have to keep going. How have you been able to keep yourself informed at the same time? If you're drinking from a fire hose every day, you're going to drown.
Um, I think, I mean, if you want to be in this game and keep scaling up, like you don't have an option to not continue to level up, whether that's through having a mentor, which I'm huge on, finding someone that's walked the path that you're wanting to walk. It's educating yourselves, which, I tell people, like, at best I was a C student, so it's not like you have to be this like amazing student, but you need to understand, like, if there's a topic in business that you just don't understand, you either need to hire someone that's extremely smart and pay them to, explain it to you, or you just need to understand it, period. And if you don't, like, you just won't succeed. That's the thing. And that's the difference between like successful companies and not successful, is the business owners that are willing to do the things that most people aren't willing to do.
Good, good. Listen, before we wrap this up, if you can leave us with, I'm curious, a standard that you hold everyone to personally, but also within the organizations.
I'm big on being your word, which, obviously is cliche, but being your word, like, is being on time. And that's what I stress a lot in my organization, is that, hey, if you say you're going to do something, you better do it. And that includes like starting meetings on time, or when you tell a customer you're going to be there, like, you better be on time. And I think that's probably been one of my biggest things that's pounded into me in my childhood. And I've seen the impact that it's made on myself, because when people are their word, you know that you can rely on them and you can trust them. So when a manager says, like, hey, I'll take on that task and I'll get it done and I'll report back in a week, you don't have to sit there and wonder as a business owner, like, I wonder if he's actually going to do it, or am I going to have to follow up? And then he's going to come up with a lame excuse. No, he has a track record of, what he says he's going to do. And so I know it's going to happen and he's going to report on it next week. And then it's out of sight, out of mind. And you go, you keep working as a business owner. You come to the meeting next week and they say, hey, yeah, Cameron, I just want to report on this, this, and this. I just want you to know. It's like, wow, that's awesome.
To get it there and set that standard, it probably took a lot of persistence and being on them, so they know the standards there. Like, how long is that go on with being on their ass every single day, every single week, until they're like, you know what, it's probably just easier if I do the thing.
Well, it starts with your example, right? And that's the thing. Like, as the business owner, you're under a microscope. It doesn't. I can't make everyone else be on time, and then I show up 5 minutes late to a meeting. So, I mean, I have to be on point.
Awesome, awesome. Next, like 3 to 5 years, what's the plan for yourself, and along with that, the organizations you're running?
Yeah, so Green Mango, I want to continue to build. I mean, the goal is to get it to $50 million in revenue. We're at 24 right now. Coconut cleaning is absolutely phenomenal. We started franchising about a year and a half ago. We've already sold four, so we're going to probably open up the gates next year. Our goal will be to sell between 10 and 15 franchises each year. And so, yeah, I think the next stage for me is, putting some fuel on that fire of coconut, and, just continue to grow Green Mango. But yeah, 90% of my time is allocated to Green Mango and making sure that it's successful and continues to grow.
So, like, what are you looking at the next 5 years to double? That's a big goal. I love it. Like, what is your, I guess, day to day and your plan? You have to be very strategic, because before you know it,
Yeah.
it's going to be 5 years, and you either make it or you
Um,
don't.
that's the thing, man. It's a lot easier to get to 50 million than it was to get to 24. Because, I mean, there's so as good as I've maybe made people think I am on this podcast. It's like we have so many areas of improvement. One of our biggest revenue sources is termite bait stations. Only 5% of our customers have bait stations. So I could literally just focus on upselling my customers bait stations. I could get to 50 million. Of course, that's not my plan, but, that's a big part of the plan. Creating relationships, doubling down on our customer referral program, making it even better than it is, and then just doubling down on our current top leading sources like Google, like Facebook, like, radio, billboards. Just billboard, like, it's cool. I think it's good. Top of mind advertising, but yeah, man. I mean, it's just doing it's, and that's the thing. It's going into each department and getting 3 to 5% better, and that's why it's easy to tweak, and it's fun. It's enjoyable rather than like the first 24 is like it's freaking it's hard, man. I almost say miserable. Like, it's pretty much miserable. Like, you're sacrificing everything.
Playing the game. That's awesome referral program. So what, taking more clients for heli rides, or how does that look for you guys?
Yeah, right. We are doing a big switchover campaign right now, which I'm pretty excited about. It does involve a helicopter ride.
Right on. And the franchise, like I'm not familiar. You probably have to come to market with a unique offer. Like how extravagant can you get with carpet cleaning?
When you say how extravagant, what do you mean by that?
Like how is your offer standing out from other carpet cleaning franchises?
Oh, that's the thing. We haven't like I haven't got into that. It might be more difficult, but it's not really. It's more so like you showcase what your main hub is doing. So when we show people our numbers and how we've created a residual income for carpet cleaning, no one else has done it in the industry. And we figured out how to sell a subscription model to people on carpets. And I think once people see our company here in Arizona, our margins, our the residual on it, I think they'll want to buy these like crazy. Brokers are telling us every single day that we meet with them, hey, these things will fly off the shelves. It's going to be harder than you think. I'm not, but so I guess you need to come back to me in like a couple of years and I'll tell you if it was as hard as I thought. But I know it's never easy, and so I don't. But there's no like, it's kind of different from selling an account. There's no like promotional. It's all about marketing and getting your name out there and getting exposure so people just know about it.
So it's subscription based. Like how is that formatted? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we created what we call the Coconut Club. So it's a subscription where we come out. It's you pay to join, and then you get preferred pricing when we come back out. But we come out once a quarter. So every 3 months we're coming out, and we're going to perform services for you at $99. And then anything that you get in addition to like your typical 3 rooms of carpet, 2 areas of tile, obviously it's an upsell. So, but you're getting that preferred coconut pricing. So it's like a membership pricing fee. But what's cool is like in the industry, your average person only gets their carpet cleaned once every year and a half. Now we're seeing our customers 4 times a year, and more opportunities to upsell, more opportunities to get them bought in on the brand. And there's so many companies that have tried to figure out this model in the industry, and they just haven't been able to figure it out. And we've been able to through like how we compensate our technicians, how we compensate our salesmen, through the offers that we have, like top to bottom, our service. So it's a big deal, man.
Right on. Well, I'll be back in a few years to see how that's gone. Um, what can you leave us with, Cam? Words, your last words of advice here.
um, I mean, the biggest thing with if like entrepreneurs are listening is like, hey, there's never going to be the best time. Like the best time was yesterday. So jump all in and just know it's going to be hard. Like less than 1% of companies actually make it past $10 million and are profitable. And so when you think about that, like it must be hard. And so a lot of people get into it and they feel a little bit of resistance, they feel a little bit of pressure, and they just back down. And it's just, it's like the great ones will succeed, the great ones will push through that. And like anyone, I don't care who you are, as long as you have a hard work ethic and push through those difficult situations, like you can become successful. But it's going to take a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hard work. So I don't know. I love running companies. I love doing what I do. I love mentoring people. There's a lot of people that helped me, and so I try and give back as much as I can. So if anyone has questions on your show, they can reach out to me via Instagram on C Bawdin is my handle. I'm sure we can put some postings up here. But yeah, LinkedIn, I'm on there too. But I love to connect and answer the questions that I can, and try and give back as much as I can with my time. And yeah, I mean that's what it's all about, is finding people that walk the path that you want to walk. So if you're starting out, go find someone that's doing $1 million right now and pick their brain. If you're at 5 million, go find someone at 10 million or 20 million, and vice versa. Like I'm looking at people that are doing 50 to $100 million, and they're teaching me things every single day, and it's phenomenal.
I love it. I love it. The pressure is the jet fuel, eh? Um, where can people find you? Instagram, LinkedIn, is that the best spot?
Yeah, Instagram's probably the best, but yeah, LinkedIn too, all that good stuff.
Awesome, awesome. Listen, thanks again. I know you're crazy busy. The time is very appreciated.